Okay, this is a presentation by Anthony Beck on the updates on the DART project for the stakeholder and consultancy meeting for the 7th of July 2011. So, a quick refresher about what the project's all about. Major goal is to look at contrast identification and looking at physical, chemical, biological factors that influence on archaeological crop mark formation or soil mark formation, or just generally any of the subsurface phenomena. We know that the strength of these contrasts changes over time, nature changes over space, and the general argument has been that the detection strategies are not fulfilling their potential. We're going to improve that. We have a number of different work packages, and here's the update as to where we are. So we have our sites chosen, we've got a sampling program in place, we've installed field equipment at Royal Agricultural College, and we've got one set installed at Diddington in Cambridgeshire, and we started off our monthly field measurements. We've also achieved a number of milestones over the last 6 months. So we've identified our candidate sites, we've completed our first workshop, and we're prepared for field work. Okay, quick skim past our communication infrastructure. We have a range of different ways of communicating with the group from our email lists, but we also put a lot of focus in a way in which we can disseminate our project outputs, either through YouTube, Scribd for documents, Mendeley for bibliographies, SlideShare, Flickr, Twitter. All of this information can be accessed directly through the project website, and it fulfills part of our open science agenda. Over the next few months this will change as we start to deal with some of the data that's coming in from the sites. Okay, general administration. We have a range of different meetings timetabled. Students meet once a month, broadly physical. We also have a progress meeting monthly, which is held virtually, generally over Skype or conference calling. We meet up with our academic consultants on a 3-month basis, and we've now decided to merge our consultant and stakeholder meetings, which occur once every 6 months. We've reinstituted our investigator meetings so that the investigators can actually all meet in the same room, and we do that once every 6 months. And in addition to this, we have we put our meeting minutes online, as well as student updates, which you get on our monthly progress meetings, which are filled in the form on the left hand side here, and we also have blogs on the website. Okay, quick overview of the people and collaborators. Hopefully most of you are familiar with this, and it gives a broad overview of the different collaborators in the consortium and where our skill sets lie. We also have a range of other people who make this work. Obviously we've got the test sites at Royal Agricultural College and Diddington, and associated with that we have the local county councils. We're getting information from a variety of other providers, English Heritage, European Space Agency, etc. And we are supported by the Science and Heritage coordinator Debbie Williams. We've also been working quite closely with industry, and over the past 6 months we've brokered relationships with Van Volt, who are providing TDR and other geotechnical equipment, Allied Associates Geophysical Limited, who are providing FlashRes 64 and other equipment, and Leica Geosystems, who provide us with real-time kinematic GPS and access to our SmartNet. So thank you to all of those. We're also continuing looking at publicity and outreach, and we've been in contact with a number of people at the BBC, local museum service, and the archaeological community, so the Council of British Archaeology, IFA, Archaeolandscapes, which is a large European project, but because of the workshop we've also been in contact with the West Lothian Archaeology Group and the Council for Independent Archaeology. Okay, so a quick update on the sites. This is Diddington, which is the site in Cambridgeshire. As you can see, we've got from the soil map, we're broadly clay to the west of the A1, and better draining soil to the east of the A1, and we have our two areas, one on the clay and one on the better draining soils. So if we zoom in, you can see here this is an aerial photograph taken by Roger Palmer, and you have all of the archaeology within here, which hopefully will still come out relatively clearly on the video. And this field boundary here, or this corner of this field here, relates to a corner of this field here, so if you just mentally transpose it and move it along a bit. Here you can see the location of where the sensors have been installed, and here are the solar panels which power the sensors and the field team after we installed the sensors themselves. So the upshot is we've installed sensors, which is great. At the top here you'll see David and Doreen taking a reference spectroradiometry reading, and this was while the NERC Airborne Remote Sensing Facility aircraft had just flown overhead taking a hyperspectral survey. We did that, or we got this flight because there's been the driest period since 1910 in Cambridgeshire, and we put in a very quick application to NERC to respond to unique circumstances, and NERC very kindly provided us with a hyperspectral flight. So we're providing calibration readings here to deal with atmospheric variations. And here's the site in the clay area. Now we haven't installed sensors here yet, and I'm just pointing to the area where we will be installing it, which is shown up in this area here. We should be installing these sensors sometime in late July. We'll be doing that after the crop has been harvested. Okay, moving over to Harn Hill, which is just outside Cirencester, and you can see we don't have such a clear division, but again we have clay and better draining soils. So if we look in this area, here's the aerial photograph, and this little dogleg element here relates to this area on the mapping. And as you can hopefully still see in here, there are some crop marks in this oilseed rape. We intended to install our sensors in this location here. Unfortunately, English Heritage scheduled the field cutting across about from that angle here to here. The communication wasn't all it should be. We were informed about this about 10 days before we were due to go on site, which is obviously a problem. There's a huge amount of telephone calls and email correspondence later. We decided that the most effective thing to do was just to move outside to reduce the bureaucratic overhead of dealing with a scheduled area. You're not allowed to do geophysical readings for something that's scheduled. You can do a GPS survey, but you can't take geophysics. So it would have just been an absolute nightmare logistically and bureaucratically to have dealt with that. So we've moved into the other side of the field. We've picked up on this old field boundary here, and here you can see a shot from where the sensors have been installed. This is an area where the crop has been trimmed. You can see the faint outline of the crop mark here, and this is where Rob does his geophysical surveys every month. Behind here there is a transect where David takes some of his spectroradiometry readings. And here's a similar setting for quarry field, and quarry field is the clay environment. So this field here from the aerial photograph from Bob Bewley relates to that road running up here. So our sensors are placed approximately here to intersect with this feature. Now here we have a photograph looking south-ish, showing another area where the crop has been trimmed. This has got the power cables from Rob's flash res 64 meter, and you can see the solar panels in the background and the weather station. So fantastic, we have our sites. This shows how we were intending to install the sensors in the ground in different locations, and this just shows us how we actually did that. So the difference between theory and practice. And I'm sure that Dan will be telling us more about that later on. Okay, achievements. We've done quite a lot in the last 6 months. So from a data perspective, we've got some NERC airborne remote sensing facility data. We did a survey over Diddington with Eagle and Hawk hyperspectral and full waveform LiDAR. Data from the Environment Agency, we have 3 kilometres squared over each site of CASI hyperspectral and 20 kilometres squared of 20 centimetre vertical photography and 1 metre spacing LiDAR. We have periodic aerial photographs taken by 2 aerial flyers, which is Robert Bewley and Roger Palmer at Cirencester and Diddington respectively, and they'll be going and flying on an approximate monthly basis. We've got weather data, which is currently working, but we're collecting logs by hand from CDR and temperature probes. They're both working, and again, this is logged by hand at the moment. We are looking for telemetry, automated telemetry ways to collect this. Our GPR data is not being collected currently because the machine from Birmingham is not suitable for the fields, but we're working around that problem. The flash res 64 resistivity are both collected on a monthly basis, and we're doing plant transects, SPAD, height and spectroradiometry. We're doing these at 2-week intervals at Diddington while the crop is in the ground. We're taking a variety of different cores, and the summer challenge is to start making this data easily available, both to our internal partners and externally as well as part of our open science basis. And here's a view of, again, the aerial photograph from Diddington, schematic from Flash Res 64, and the general sense of joy that everyone felt when things are going well. Okay, we also had our events. I need to change that because you can't see it, but basically we have quite a busy schedule over summer. We've been accepted at a variety of different conferences and workshops, and you'll see more about when I get into it in more detail. We also had our workshop for the stakeholders, which went very, very well. The general aims are to get people in the same room to start to network and find out what issues the community had in respect to geophysics. We've got a number of different action points that arose from that, and some of that has actually impacted on how we're going to undertake the research. You can find more about that on the blog itself. You can see from this graph that of the 40 attendees, we had a swathe across the different communities, stakeholder communities. So, a number of academic, but with a fair number of curatorial, environmental, and practitioners. So it was a very well represented and a broadly covered event. Okay, but we've also submitted more grants. The new one has been this bespoke NERC grant, a successful one for the hyperspectrum LiDAR flights over Diddington. This was done at very short notice. We finished the installation at Diddington on a Wednesday. Dorian and I spoke about finding crop marks in the field in Diddington, so we wrote a very quick application, got that sent off on the Friday with a letter of support from Quinton Carroll, the Cambridgeshire County archaeologist. We heard on Monday afternoon that it had been successful and that they were going to be flying on the Tuesday. So we bundled ourselves into a car with a spectroradiometer and took the concurrent readings. It was great. We also have 3 other grants in preparation. There's a NERC biology multidisciplinary grant, and this is to do with the MSc, which the MSc with Reddy is currently doing. We will be submitting for NERC ARSF in 2011, so this October, and the potential to do some neutron soil analysis with Keith Wilkinson and facilities out in Germany. From our presentations, and this is really what we're putting out in the public domain, we have a whole range of different presentations directly available for download, and a number of our posters as well, and all of the presentations that you'll see from this workshop will be up there. In fact, we should be up there already. Multimedia. We are already putting our aerial photographs onto Flickr and our other illustrative material. We've had online views over 2,000, and we're also putting in some videos as well. All of this has been pretty well received online, with the exception of our video material. Total online views of 140. We're going to do something about this, but part of it is also to produce some educational material, which you'll see from this video here. You can now see our publications. So we've had a number of things published on conference proceedings, some kind of periodicals, and some internal papers. We're looking at a number of in-prep pieces for conferences, and we will probably be ending up on a journal article later on this year once we've got some of this initial data in. We can also get a breakdown as to who's been looking at our information. So we've had over 2,600 unique reads from the information we've published onto Script. Okay, and other achievements. We have an open methodology store. It's been done in collaboration with the Open Knowledge Foundation, Council of British Archaeology and English Heritage. It's now active, but it's not really openly released yet. David and myself will be working on that. And we have the MSc student project. It's detected buried heritage through the identification of localised vegetation, vigour or stress, which will be completed over the summer. Okay, other business. As yet, we have no other business. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Goodbye.